Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast, a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. Today I have Emma Leffler on, who is actually from MedWorld Pharmacy in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, and we're pretty excited to have her on because there is more than one way to have a residency that has all of the ideals and all of the parts that you need and doesn't necessarily have to be part of the ACPE part of it. So she's going to kind of explain that a little bit more. But if you are interested in this kind of pharmacy, the kind of pharmacy where you really have an understanding not only of what to do with patient care, but also big picture, this is going to be a great episode. So Emma, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself before we start and a little bit about the pharmacy where you're working in.
Yes, so I graduated in May of 2018 from Southwestern Oklahoma State University in Weatherford, Oklahoma, and my postgraduate journey has really had its ups and downs. I was originally looking at fellowships and went to ASHP set on getting a medical science liaison fellowship. And as I went through that process, I found out that maybe that's not where I was meant to be. I didn't get the interviews that I was hoping for, and I had no idea what to do next. And so I thought, well, maybe a residency would be the right place for me. I really enjoyed the AmCare setting as well as getting to know your patients and teaching. And so I went through the ASHP match. When we got to match day, I found out I didn't match, and I was devastated. I thought, why? What happened?
Why me? Why?
Exactly. I had such high hopes and thought I was a great candidate, and as well as all of the other candidates as well. And so I found I was in that boat of, okay, do I step back? Do I go for phase 2? And so I set my tracks on not giving up, going to phase 2. And the same thing happened where I did not match again. And it was hard to change my perspective of I'm a failure to this was just not the right path for me. And there are other opportunities out there for pharmacy students to really blossom and grow into the career path that they really want. And so I even did the scramble, and the scramble didn't work out either. But everything aligned when a position opened at MedWorld for their residency. And so I interviewed, and this was in July even. And so after I interviewed, I was able to secure that spot for their PGY1 residency. And so it really went full circle of, wow, if you don't succeed the first time, that's okay, because that may not be what the success you were looking for. And so I really implore anyone who is going through the match this year or going through job searching that if it doesn't work out, it just wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. You will find your place of where you're supposed to be, and I found MedWorld, and I know you will find your career choice that you are really hoping to get in the future.
I have to tell you a little bit about our story when we tried to match, and my wife was trying to match so that we could stay in the Washington, D.C. area. And she got a couple interviews, but I could just tell that her heart wasn't into it. She really wanted to be back home in Iowa. So good thing happened that she didn't match, and then we went into the scramble, and then we matched in Iowa and ended up coming here. And I've loved my life in Iowa since. But if she had actually matched in D.C., I think our lives would have been so different. And sometimes I think that F failure is truly feedback saying, hey, these are some smart people, and they see that your heart is probably somewhere else that you may not even know where it is. And then you found where it is. So we did, and we've had great careers. She's now a clinical pharmacist and has been for almost a decade at the VA, and I've been teaching for almost 10 years now. So we've got great careers, and it all came to okay, just accepting that the first try wasn't the right one, and now we're on to a space where we're really happy. So first of all, congratulations on finding your home. That's one of the toughest things to do. And was staying in Oklahoma a big deal for you?
Yes, I've really grown fond of Oklahoma as well as my family's in Texas, and so
Okay.
it's only about a 4-hour drive, and so I felt that I was able to find my niche in the state that I've really grown as a pharmacist, and so while I was looking all over the states and the country, it was fantastic and just meant to be that I was able to find my home in Oklahoma, where I went to school.
And there's actually it's anytime I think everybody thinks of an independent, they think of a single store with maybe one or two pharmacists and a couple techs. But my understanding is that there's at least five full-time pharmacists there, plus a resident, plus 10 or so support staff. Tell me a little bit about the actual pharmacy and the scope of practice that you guys are working, because it sounds like this is not just a small store or something like that.
Oh, exactly. And that was one of my number one things that really drew me to this store and this program is that we're no ordinary pharmacy. And that's the beauty of independent pharmacy is that you can really expand your scope of practice, your clinical abilities as a community pharmacist, and also collaborating with the community itself. And so we do have a huge support staff, which is so helpful. Each of them brings something different to the table that you can learn from. Everyone from the clerk to our pharmacists. And so not only do you get that one-on-one personable support, but you also get individual mentorship from everybody. And so at MedWorld, we do several different clinics, everything ranging from a weight loss clinic to heart failure, diabetes. We're certified as a diabetes education center. And so you have numerous opportunities to expand not only your diabetes education, but your counseling and teaching experience with patients. We
Okay.
also have a number of collaborations with doctors. And so we're starting up Medicare wellness visits where you as the resident will get to have that one-on-one time with patients and being able to make clinical recommendations each time that patient comes in with either the nurse practitioner or whatever physician is in there. And so that's super exciting to have that opportunity within an independent pharmacy.
Okay, so we have to unpack all of this. Try to get it in 20 or 30 minutes. But
Oh, yes.
but tell me a little bit about, first of all, I think anyone who's interested in a residency year is always thinking about how does that residency year go. Now, I was in community pharmacy, and so was my wife, and I've gotten to know hospital pharmacy, which is usually a month or two of orientation while you're waiting to get your license, and then certain required electives, which is much like APPEs, at a much higher level, of course, than a hospital, and then some electives. So, can you walk me through kind of the big picture of the year and what a resident would actually do, not on a day to day basis, but what are the kind of goals for the whole year that at the end of this residency, the resident will be able to blank?
Yes, and so we are a part of IPOR, which is the Independent Pharmacy Ownership Residency. And so that not only incorporates if you're interested in being a pharmacy owner, but if you are interested in opening your own ambulatory care clinic, or if you're hoping to go into diabetes education and specializing in opening either a clinic or adding on to a doctor's office. It's a wide variety of knowledge that you'll get throughout this whole year, but we do definitely jam pack as much learning experiences as possible. And so with our different rotations that we have throughout the year, we have longitudinal as well as month to about 2 months of focused experiences. And so, of course, we'll have our orientation month in June. And then while the residents are getting their license exams taken, we'll look into pharmacy practice, operations, there's a marketing month, management, and even finance. And so while a lot of residents do research projects, our residents will be doing a business plan. And so that can be opening your own pharmacy or seeing what it takes to open a Medicare wellness clinic in a doctor's office. And so it's wide opportunities for the residents to explore their interests as well as curiosities in thinking the big picture of what does independent pharmacy look like in the future.
You know,
And oh
okay.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was talking to a couple residents here that are doing some of the more advanced community residencies, and I've heard that, so they go into the residency, and one of the big questions is there going to be a job for me at this pharmacy when I'm done? And a lot of times I hear the resident actually saying, oh, I'll have made a job for me by the time this residency is done. And it sounds like, whether it's there or somewhere else, but it sounds like the movement now within this kind of a residency is to actually truly expand pharmacy practice. So the residency project is meant to expand pharmacy knowledge, but it sounds like you're actually expanding the reach of the pharmacy, possibly bringing in new patient populations, streams of income, and other ways that we might have just one or maybe even more pharmacists and pharmacy staff. So is that the goal, to expand pharmacy practice? Because I understand the owner is a BCACP.
Yes, yes. Travis Wolf is our director, and so he sees that independent pharmacy will die if we're just pills in a bottle pharmacy. And so if we can create value as community pharmacists, our opportunities will be endless on how to improve patient care. And so that's what we hope our residents will get out of this residency, is to create that value within yourself and within pharmacy so that you can go find the job that you would like to create and you would like to make.
Okay. And how many residents have preceded you? So are you the first resident they've had under IPOR, or are you the first resident overall, or have there been residencies before that were ACPE accredited? What kind of trail is there, I guess, or are you blazing the path?
Oh, yes. So we have had two residents before me,
Okay.
and that's where we did the ACPE accredited
Okay.
residency. And then after we got reaccredited last year with them, we were approached by UNC and NCPA to be a part of their IPOR residency program. And so we had the decision of what to do next and what would
That's an incredible story. Just okay, you just got it, and I know how much work goes into getting accredited. So
yeah.
somebody comes and says, "Do you want to give that up?" Okay, I can't wait to hear
Well,
this. Sorry, I'm just like,
oh
I
yeah.
just know how much work that must have taken.
Well, and I did a lot of that during my residency, and so I feel like I've grown so much learning the ins and outs of what it takes to become accredited with ACPE.
Okay.
However, we still have those values and knowledge of what we had whenever we did that type of residency, and we didn't just scrap it all and say, well, now we're not doing that, so let's go rogue with this new
Okay, I got you.
program.
Sure.
But we thought it just aligned with our pharmacy values and what we would like for our resident to have the opportunity for. A lot of times you can get very narrowed down in all the details with checking off all the boxes with accredited residencies, which sometimes works for that program, but other times it does not. And so we like the openness of IPOR and how you're supported by other independent pharmacies within the network to not only help your resident, but to also help the sites to collaborate and really expand your knowledge and opportunities in the pharmacy. And so we were very excited to agree and come on with IPOR Pharmacy. And so this year we are looking for our next resident to be a part of the IPOR family.
I've got the thing that just came to me was this almost sounds like a perfect path for the PharmD MBA. and I know that there's quite a few schools that have it, but I feel like a PharmD MBA hasn't really had the opportunities to really use that MBA as much. Have you had experience with a PharmD MBA in your staff or in your residence?
Yes, and that is a great question and a great caveat. We just opened a new store just about 30 minutes down the road, and our PIC is a PharmD MBA. And she didn't have the opportunity to go into a residency that really fit what she was looking for. And so this has been perfect for her to be one of our preceptors to really help our resident see that side of pharmacy if they're interested in becoming PIC or even owning in the future. So I think that is perfect. This would be a great opportunity for those PharmD MBAs to really use their knowledge that they learned with their MBA training, as well as the clinical side of their PharmD training.
And I guess the last question I want to ask you, and then I'll open it to you, is so the one thing that I think that students are concerned about with a residency in an independent pharmacy is that they have this vision of being in a pharmacy 8 to 12 hours a day, just like they would if they had taken a regular, maybe changed pharmacy position, that they'll be doing the same thing over and over again, and that all they've done is really just reduce their salary in some kind of place where they're always going to be. What kind of opportunities do they have for patient care to get out of the pharmacy and then to maybe direct some things at the managerial level?
Great question. Within the IPOR residency family, we have 5 different pharmacies from North Carolina. We have 5 pharmacies from Pennsylvania, our pharmacy in Oklahoma, and there's also a new pharmacy in Wisconsin that will follow the IPOR curriculum. And so with each of these pharmacies, you have a number of different clinical opportunities as well as leadership and managerial opportunities. And so it can range anything from compounding to long-term care. We do a lot of immunizations, especially this time of year. There's even hospice care, internal nutrition, home delivery, transitions of care, robotics even. And so the list goes on and on of all the different opportunities that a resident could have at these different independent pharmacies. It would just be looking at what interests you, what are some skills that maybe you didn't have the opportunity to get from pharmacy school or your rotations that you could get more in this practice experience, and as well as having your mentors to say, okay, you're looking at expanding this area in our pharmacy. Let's get a plan together and let's go with it and let's see where it goes. And having that independence is so amazing to have, especially coming right out of school. And so we are really hoping to expand those type of clinical experiences, especially those who haven't had that in school.
Okay, well, I have asked you a ton of questions. What's one thing that you would want to make sure that everybody knew, especially as we're getting to this end of the residency application? Well, that's the thing. I'll say this for ACPE, but I've got people, emailing me like, oh my gosh, my deadline's the 23rd, the 25th. Who makes a deadline on Christmas? Like it's every holiday that's coming up. But obviously there's a certain number of sites, limited number of sites, and limited number of opportunities for the residency. What would you want to tell the people that are looking right now about IPOR, or whom they would get in touch with to learn more?
Yes. So it is coming up quickly. I feel like this is the most stressful time of year for students, and it's such a shame because it is almost the holiday season. However, with IPOR, we do not go through the forecasts match. We are totally separate. And so you can find more information about applying to our program by just typing in IPOR Pharmacy in Google, and it should pop up with our our website.
And that's IPOR, just for everyone
Oh,
listening, because it's an audio, so I not IPOUR. So just, but yeah, you've said what it was, but I just want to make sure people knew where to go.
that is fantastic. And it's also affiliated with the University of North Carolina. And so that should also be an indicator that you're at the right place. And so with our application, we are already accepting applications right now. We have our deadline for early consideration is January 1st. And so with our application, we do not require any payment. We don't believe in paying to apply. We'd like, if you're interested, please apply. We would love to have you and have the opportunity to interview with our great sites. And so we do have, it's a Qualtrics application. And so with that, we would need your CV, your pharmacy transcript, and it doesn't have to be the official, it could be an unofficial, a letter of intent, and a professional headshot. And so these would be sent to our head coordinator for all the sites, Stephanie Ferrari. And after that, you would choose which sites you're interested in. And the application doesn't take very long at all because we know you guys are super busy this time of year. And so once you get your application in, we will start sending out interviews within about the second or third week in January. And then it's a very quick turnaround where we're hoping to have all interviews done around February 14th. So then we can send out our, if you are chosen to be a part of a site for the residency before the match happens. So if a candidate does not get chosen for the IPOR program, you are able to still rank in the match because we know that, again, there are limited opportunities for a lot of our candidates, and so we want to really expand how many opportunities you're able to have. And so that's why we do it before the ASHP match, so then everyone has that opportunity.
Great. Well, thanks so much for being on the Pharmacy Residency podcast.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, and good luck to everyone out there who's applying to the residencies.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Pharmacy Residency podcast. And if you're interested in learning more about the interview process, go over to Amazon.com where you can check out 100 strong residency interview questions, answers, and rationales in print book, ebook, and audiobook.